Hi and welcome back to week 2 of Carols of Wisdom from my first No Buy year. And today, the marketing schemes are frightful. So if you're watching content from people who do sponsorships or have affiliate links or otherwise talk about products, it's very possible, nigh likely, that you have seen some discount codes and other deals, other sales that these influencers are drawing our attentions to. And all of it has been making me think this year, this time around, what are we doing here? We're basically exposing ourselves to targeted advertising because, in a way, any pitch an influencer does is targeted at the demographic of their audience, the main demographic. And I don't flatter myself to think that I'm outside the main demographic of most of the people that I watch or listen to. I don't think I'm that unique. I think if I'm watching an influencer, probably a lot of people like me are also watching the same influencer. And that's a good and bad thing, right? That's how we cultivate communities, positive communities that are kind of striving towards positive goals, the same things in life. But it can also be a way to target for marketers. And I've received some brand offers myself. Not a whole lot, because I think possibly people who are pitching these things are a little bit wise to the fact that on a channel about conscious consumerism, I'm probably not likely to accept sponsorships for not conscious consumerism. But it has still happened. I've still gotten a few offers to pitch products, essentially, to my audience. But it begs the question, if you can get it 20% off, if you can get something 20% off for being a part of an influencer's target demographic, then is the product actually worth the full price ever at all? Is the company even manufacturing products to the quality standards that they would be worth the price that they're trying to charge as retail? It's probably built in to the production markup, right? The price of the product that these influencer discounts are going to come around periodically. And even by charging the 20% off price, they're still going to be making enough of a profit that it's worth it to them to keep on producing and selling in this way. So in a way, it's like we're paying for the influencer marketing whenever we buy a product that's marketed heavily by influencers. I am so guilty of this. In the last few years, the Pollen handbags are a huge culprit of this. I feel like I've seen everybody and their mom have one of these gifted to them for free on TikTok and Instagram. And it makes me a little bit mad because I know now, after this year of reflection and thinking about it, that my purchase of all of these bags, full price, no discounts, they don't actually do sales and discounts throughout the year. You know, they never have any sales or first order discounts or anything like that. And they say it's because they do it to keep their prices at a reasonable level. Well, they've had 2, 3, 4 price increases since I first started buying. The first one I got was $280 or $290. It was under $300. And now the same bag is like almost $500 new. And what are we paying for? It's the same quality of material. Okay, there's inflation, but it doesn't account for the percentages that these have gone up. What might account for that is influencer marketing and the amount of free product that they're sending out to people to promote. And it's just starting to give me an icky feeling about buying anything that uses influencer marketing tactics. I don't really want to pay for influencers to receive part of that income in sponsoring their products anymore. I don't really value the service of an influencer bringing these products to my attention. I might still value the service of a well thought out and thorough review, unbiased if possible. But an unbiased review, chances are, is not going to be sponsored directly by that company. I'd be much more willing to support directly an influencer who is giving an unsponsored, unbiased review than influencers who take the sponsorships and then try to do kind of retroactive unbiased reviews, which can't really be unbiased as it's a source of their income now. And I'm sure that some of these sponsorships come with product scripts that prohibit you from saying all of the downsides of the product, or at least prohibit you from highlighting it in a realistic way. Chances are Lily Silk or whatever is not going to allow you saying, by the way, these are impossible to wash at home, so you're gonna have to get them dry cleaned, or, oh yeah, I washed this and it got ruined, so maybe be careful with that. Like, that's probably not gonna be part of the review from a brand that is paying for the sponsorship of their products. And as I noticed as well during my experience creating content and posting during this No by year. It's so easy to make something look aspirational online. I found that even in the videos of me talking about stuff, even things that I regret, I found myself looking at what I was showing online. You know, I could hold up a jacket or whatever and say, oh, you know, I'm kind of having second thoughts about this jacket. Maybe I should declutter it. And after I saw myself talk about it on camera, I would think, oh, that's actually a beautiful jacket. It looks really good in that video. Maybe I should hold on to it and keep it. If I'm thinking that about stuff that I already have, then I'm not even talking about the positive attributes about how easy is it for an influencer to make something look aspirational. And not to say that content creation is easy as a blanket kind of statement, but I'm just saying that making somebody want something that they see online is perhaps easier to do, or it's maybe harder to make something look bad online, or to be really objective about it online, or to convey the reality of the item. Maybe that's what I really mean here. It's harder to convey the reality of the item online because you don't see the negative practical aspects of it in use. Even something like a shirt, right? You aren't seeing what this is like to wash. You aren't seeing what the sweat stains look like after a hard day at work. You aren't seeing how it might have shrunk after putting it in the dryer. I haven't done that. I don't actually put my clothes in the dryer, most of them. But, you know, these are just the examples that might be practical for people's lives that you would never know just by looking at the stuff that I have. That's one of the reasons I brought out the grandma vest here. This is irreplicable. And I look forward to the day where most, if not all of my clothes are unavailable for current purchase. And that's when I feel like I will have reached the pinnacle of being an online influencer presence, when nothing in the frame of my videos is available to link or to buy. It can't be a sales pitch because you can't get it. I'm not going to do that in an intentional, constructive way, just because that's not necessarily the point of what I'm doing here either. But, you know, I'm not going to avoid using the things that I actually use in real life just because they can be bought. But I am going to avoid linking them or being an affiliate or having an Amazon storefront. I'm never going to be making any money from the stuff in my videos. So in that way, I hope that this can still remain a safe space. But anyway, we've reached a point where influencers are paid to be the real life enablers for us to want and buy more stuff, for us to discover more stuff that we may or may not have been looking for. It's one thing if we're looking for a specific product. If I'm searching for a new concealer for my skin type, for my age and purposes, and I'm looking for reviews and targeting that specifically, looking for people with the same needs as me, and I find several influencers providing that service, ideally unsponsored, then I can learn the information to not buy. I think maybe that's the crux of the matter. If I'm receiving information that helps me not buy things that won't serve me, then I think that's good. I think that's a good service that's being provided, a legitimate and valuable use of influencer content. If I am instead being encouraged to buy, even if it's a buy this, not that kind of setup, I'm going to be more dubious about that and maybe not view that so much as a helpful service, besides being helpful to provide the livelihood of the person creating the content. And I still have mixed feelings about whether we are entitled to have the career of an influencer available to us. And in this field, in this kind of criticism, I could be viewed as directly hypocritical, since I am capitalizing on being an influencer as far as sharing ideas online. I do have ad monetization turned on for my videos, and I have conflicting feelings about it as far as not wanting to support advertising and give the ads a place to be perpetuated, but at the same time, it does take time and effort and planning and labor to create this content to share. And being compensated for that time is fairly important in my life still, as far as trying to navigate the tides of rising costs, as we all are. And if I'm using this time to make this content rather than in other income generating activities, then I don't see it as wrong in principle to receive the compensation that's available for it. So I'm taking it as my token here, talking directly in response to advertising, right? Trying to prepare us and arm us, anybody who views my content, with tools to fight the desires that the ads generate, that influencers generate, as my kind of token of penance for receiving compensation from ads. It's possible that I might also use platforms that don't have ads in the years to come, so that people who want to choose to avoid this can do so. But I'll get back to that perhaps in the new year. But anyway, whether anybody's entitled to being an influencer also, in my mind, depends on the net positive and negative of the content they create. So again, the two realms of problematic influencing that I see are the generating desires for things that nobody really needs in the interests of profit. So again, similar to the complaints about capitalism where it's profit-driven, and disregarding the exploitation of anybody below. So the must-haves, the essentials, the Shein hauls, the gratuitous consumerism is without question a problem for me. And then also just content that contributes to an environment of normalizing the excess, the spending, the acceptance of advertising. I have already seen content, sponsored content, that gives discount codes for purchases above a certain amount. So I saw a jewelry one for purchases above $150 get X amount % off. I saw another one that was even more wild to me from a clothing company where you got a discount on any order, but then if you spend $480, you get more of a discount. $480, like what? If you were not already planning to spend that amount of money at this company, and this pitch, this ad, made you look for this company, and then the fact that you could get more of a discount for spending more money, I mean, that's just, to me, a very sketchy kind of marketing ploy, right? Because then you might get a total that's, $200 or $300 if you start just, on the face value of the ad. Maybe you're like, oh, I do need a pair of pants or something. And the pants, maybe, I don't know how much the clothing from that company costs, and I'm not interested in looking. So I'm sorry to not provide you that data. But, you might get a total close enough to $480 that you're like, oh, I can add 2 or 3 more things and get this much off, and then I'm saving money, and the girl math is going to kick in. And then also somebody I admire and respect gave me the sales pitch, so maybe it's okay, because then I'll be more like that person. And all of these narrative traps that we fall into. And the bottom line for today's kind of chat and sharing ideas on this subject is that we are paying for it as the consumers of the products, as the non-influencing consumers of their products. The price that we pay has that marketing built in. Even the discounted price still has to be making a profit, including that payment to the influencer who was sponsored to bring the product to our attention. And this is what I mean when I say that the marketing schemes are frightful and the deals are not delightful. Let it snow. Let it snow. They've got to go. If I'm not paying for the value of the good, and if the company is willing to show me that through allocating cost-generating activities, like the influencer marketing, the advertising. I know every company is going to have an advertising budget, but beyond the kind of run-of-the-mill ads, if the company is showing me that they're putting their business dollars into these aspects of the product that aren't going to benefit me as the consumer, I am just not here for that anymore. And that is the thought of the day. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.